I'll talk about Trump's 20-point peace plan in a second and why Hamas, I can guarantee they will not accept it. But first, we have to tap into the wellspring of all of Earth's greatest ideas and Israel Takes, Ben Shapiro's Twitter account. This is a Premier League analysis by Mark R. Levin. And it's not really analysis, it's just psychotic, to be honest. Unlike the earlier drafts, there is no mention of Judea and Samaria. Right? Earlier drafts supposedly outlawed the annexation of Judea and Samaria, which is a silly provision. I agree with Mark here, because Israel has already done it in a multitude of ways. Their Knesset voted that there shall never be a Palestinian state. They also voted that the West Bank is the religious, lawful, legal land of Israel, that they have legitimate sovereignty over it, and coinciding with that, they also reestablished civil land registry. So the West Bank is de facto annexed. There's nothing we can do about it. They're building more settlements in the direct place that bisects the West Bank. So, it's just stupid. But it would have been good if we had a provision there, because that's obviously crazy that they're doing that to the West Bank, right? And Mark R. Levin was very pleased that was dropped. I oppose a Palestinian state. Period. There is no grant of a Palestinian state in the deal, as there appeared to be in an earlier leaked draft. This is very important, because Hamas's main requirement of demilitarizing is a reversion to the 1967 borders, or at least a peace deal that revolves around them, right? And that's what the Palestinian people actually agree with. Hamas's own political ideology is more so aligned with the one-state solution, but they've kind of been bullied into the two-state solution by their own people because they know that the one-state solution is just hysterical at this point. If Hamas rejects the deal or otherwise sabotages it, after punitively accepting of it, I don't know that word. I guess I haven't been around long enough. The Israelis are free to militarily demolish them with full United States support. Now, this deal itself, it includes Hamas amnesty. I have no idea how that's going to work out, right? Israel goes into other countries and kills other people all the time, right? That is not something new. So that could be a sticking point here, but Hamas is never going to accept this. Call it the 20-point peace plan. Call it whatever the heck you want, right? This is the same thing Netanyahu's been offering the whole entire time. And there's other stuff in here that Netanyahu is supposed to not agree with, which is also interesting. And we'll look at some Smotrich tweets here in a second. But what if Netanyahu's negotiations up till this point all been? They've been full release of the hostages, ceasefire to negotiate an end to the war, right? The only thing that this really guarantees is, for Hamas, is that they're not going to be killed immediately after that. And that's what I've said about the previous negotiations, that Hamas would never accept them because Israel, there's no guarantee that they weren't just going to slaughter them. But they're still not going to accept this one here because it crosses their red line of laying down arms while the Palestinian people are still occupied, right? And by international standards, that's a completely reasonable red line to have, right? And as for the thing that Netanyahu should be probably opposing, to please his political partners or people in religious Zionism or other parties in his government, we have this tweet by Smotrich here. If we look at number 2, the IDF will remain forever in the perimeter, including in the Philadelphia corridor, will maintain full operational freedom of action in all areas of the Strip, will prevent smuggling, etc., etc. The deal does not have that, which is very interesting. The IDF will leave while an ISF, an international force, will come in, being led apparently by like Tony Blair, and Donald Trump's going to have some influence. But that's in the hypothetical scenario that this is accepted, which it won't be. But I'm surprised he agreed to that, because it's kind of acknowledging that that Jewish sovereignty does not exist from the river to the sea, which probably angered Smotrich. I don't know. I think this was like 10 plus hours ago, 18 hours ago. Yeah, this guy is probably not happy. And to add to that, recently Trump has been saying he doesn't like annexation of the West Bank. And anyone who refers to the West Bank as Judea and Samaria is in favor of full annexation and a collapse of Palestinian human rights. They believe Palestinians are subhuman because in order to have a Judea and Samaria, which is like the religious kingdom of the Israelites or whatever, and all the Jews are supposed to return there, it necessitates, due to the demographics, either apartheid, genocide, or ethnic cleansing. So it's inherently immoral and a signal of Nazism to even say Judea and Samaria, and Ben Shapiro does that all the time. Of course, Small Church has. But Trump's position on that should probably be more of a sticking point for Netanyahu. But then again, all these world leaders that secretly hate Trump suck up to him all the time, so that's nothing new. But obviously, both of these tweets show where we're at with Israel and the body politic of Israel. The concept of Palestinian sovereignty is so far out the window, right? It's not even in the periphery. Palestinians, people making the argument that the average Israeli is more moral than the average Palestinian, have not looked at any polls. The average Palestinian is in favor of a two-state solution along 1967 borders. They don't really care about water rights. They don't really care that much about complete sovereignty over the old city or East Jerusalem. They just want that land, and they want recognition of wrongdoing by Israel, right? Or at least the leaders who negotiate those deals. That's what they want. They want right of return in principle, not even in any material way, right? So the one population here is clearly more moral than the other. 0% of Israeli Jews, pretty much, would be okay with 1967 borders. You could ask that, it would be like speaking Chinese to them. They wouldn't even know how to answer that question. Because people like this, who have the loudest voices in government and that conservatives don't speak out against in the United States because they don't want to come across as anti-Israel, even though what this guy is saying is objectively, it's Nazi-like. That's why this problem is as bad as it is. So I hope Hamas accepts the ceasefire, by the way. There is a small chance they might do it. It would be a test if they really care about the suffering of their people, but they might make a different calculation than me and decide that the suffering of their people wouldn't necessarily increase by accepting this peace deal. That could be something that they do. I don't know what's going to happen to the average Palestinian civilian after this whole thing ends. Right? Is Israel really going to let go of all control of the Gaza Strip and let it be an international space? And that international space is supposed to be a transitionary vehicle to some kind of Palestinian self-governance, which all these people blatantly oppose, but Donald Trump theoretically, I don't think he has independent thought, but theoretically he would be in favor of something like that. But Hamas obviously will not accept it because that would put them in the same category as the PA in the eyes of the Palestinian people. Another group that's too weak to stand up for their sovereignty, right? They continue to be like the only people apparently who are incapable of self-governance. Maybe it's because they haven't had any for 80 years, and that plays a small part in it.